American Craftsman podcast is sponsored by Hayfla. Hayfla offers a wide range of products and solutions for the woodworking and furniture making industries, from hinges and drawer slides to connectors and dowels, sandpaper, wood glue, shop carts, and everything in between. Exclusive product lines such as Lux LED lighting and Slido door hardware ensure that every project you create is built to last. Learn more at hayfla.com. Additional sponsorship provided by Ridge Carbide. When you need the right saw blade for the job, put your trust in Ridge Carbide Tools. For over 50 years, Ridge Carbide has been producing industrial saw blades designed with the exact specifications for the cutting results you expect. Before you buy, call us and we'll help you determine the right tool that meets your needs and your budget. After the sale, Ridge Carbide provides sharpening services for all your saw blades, dado sets, router bits, and jointer planer knives. Located in Kansas, Ridge Carbide Tools provides high-quality products with outstanding customer service at a fair price. What are you cutting? Enjoy the show. All right, we're back after recording for, 40 minutes?
Probably, yeah. We just recorded the podcast, and I looked up at the screen. I said, is that recording?
It was due for one of those to happen. It's been a while.
Oh, at least we didn't do the full deal. So,
yeah, it would have sucked to get to the end and been like, oh, man. And then it's like, where's the file?
Yeah, and we can recap some of the stuff. So,
yeah,
it's a Sunday. I shot over here to shoot a video for today's Craftsman for next week, record the podcast. I'm traveling to Vermont tomorrow. We're up there for a few days. My wife and I, 30th anniversary. Can't believe that. And so just trying to stay on schedule and get some content in the can, as they say.
Yeah.
And anyway, that's what we were talking about. So we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening. We'll get a ton of downloads because it's so short.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, a new philosophy there.
Yeah. What are you guys doing? Are you getting like an Airbnb or?
We're staying on the Killington Mountain. It is an Airbnb. It's on the Killington Mountain. I'm bringing my mountain bike. I'm going to bring my fishing pole.
Yep.
My fishing rod, as they say you should say.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
Some people say
both.
I said pole once, and Peter's like, yeah, you want to call it a rod. Peter's really into fishing, so he knows all the right stuff. So I'll do that. Maybe we'll travel to our old stomping grounds, which are about 40 minutes north in Randolph. I always like to go to the river there. I'm very familiar with that river, and that's a big part of fishing, if you're familiar with something.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the kind of thing my wife could drop me off on the side of the road and maybe go do some shopping or do something and come back and get me in an hour and a half, 2 hours. So that'll be nice. And also just a break and to be able to work a little bit. So I've got videos that I've recorded for my channel that I'll be editing. I'll be editing this video that we just shot on router bits for today's Craftsman. Try to make some shorts. I'm going to try to make some shorts with that content. So it's always nice to work a little. And then, I just love being up in Vermont. I said earlier on the podcast that wasn't recorded. My wife is from Vermont, and it's just I don't know. It's easy to relax in Vermont. I find it.
I've never been up there. Furthest north I've been is Pulaski, which I don't know.
Probably
not too much further south than Vermont, but
I don't even think it is. It's probably parallel. If you just headed east, you might run into Vermont.
Yeah. Well, Boston, I guess, maybe is the...
Is that how it works on the map? I'm not sure.
Let's see.
But from there, we were talking about... we went from Vermont into...
Jeff. Oh, yeah. I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you would run into Vermont. Then you would hit Massachusetts. There it is. Right there.
Oh, yeah.
Green Mountain National Forest.
Yeah, just about even with that.
That's about right where I am, central Vermont. Yeah, just...
what is there, another Woodstock, or is that New York?
No, Woodstock, Vermont. Yeah, Woodstock, Vermont is really pretty. It's a nice area to go to. It's very close to Killington, so we'll probably go in there. It's totally, like, overpriced, though. You know, like, it's Woodstock is like the she type thing.
Right.
It's like the Bay Head of Vermont, just like Stowe is like the Bay Head of, I call it the Bay Head because that's kind of a ritzy town here in Jersey. So anyway, that'll be nice to do that. Just go up there for a few days, and then from there we were talking about grass seed because Jeff just seeded his lawn with Jonathan Greene Black Beauty.
Yep.
Little plug there for Jonathan Greene.
And some of that starter fertilizer. That stuff's big. The granules are large.
Yeah. So I was saying that it's really important to have seed soil contact because otherwise the seed's just going to sit there on top of your lawn and dry out.
Mm-hmm.
So and Jeff has a few low spots in the lawn. So I was saying just grab maybe 20 or 30 bags of topsoil and back the truck up to your furthest point, and then just throw those bags out like maybe every 5 feet apart. And then just rip the bags open, razor knife the bags open, spread that out. It'll be like a nice smooth area, level any areas out, and then you'll get better seed soil contact. And if you keep it wet, I think in 20 days, you're going to have a green lawn, which would be nice because the work that I did on my lawn last week is already green. That was, I don't know if I did it on Monday or I must have done it on Saturday because I think Sunday was Labor Day. And I think I was at a party wasn't Sunday Labor Day last week? Oh, Monday was. It was Labor Day weekend, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I went to a party. So I must have done that work on Saturday. So Saturday to Sunday, I've got green.
Wow.
About half inch little green sprouts.
What type of grass seed is that? Like, what's the species or whatever?
I should know, but I don't.
I planted like fescue before in the back.
It might be some derivative of that or something like that.
Not that I have any idea what that is.
Yeah, I don't either. Like Kentucky bluegrass. I should know that, but I just want something that's going to be green and look good.
Yeah.
But this is the time of year. The worst time, I still do it, but the worst time to seed is really the spring. Everybody seeds in the spring because everybody's got spring fever. Mm-hmm. So they'll still advertise. They'll still push advertising for, you're going to see Scott's, you're going to see Jonathan Greene, everybody.
And all that stuff is expensive.
It's so expensive. And grass seed is expensive.
So grass doesn't grow until the soil is how?
I forget.
60 something degrees or something?
Yeah, it's like that.
So it must stay warm pretty late into the season here because it's been heating up all summer. It's like the ocean almost.
Yeah. So that's like the whole trick is to get that grass to germinate. That's why you want to get it down sort of like right now is perfect. This is like the perfect weather for it.
That way it's established and then in the spring it'll just start growing again.
That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
And so now just keep it wet. And if you do that soil, the bags of soil, I do think it's like a little bit of work that'll go a long way. It's worth it. Then you'll have a nice green lawn. Just like your father-in-law's. We were looking at the Google map, and Jeff lives across the street from his father-in-law.
This is nice.
Yeah.
The backyard too. It's like, and you walk on it and it's like soft,
He never gives you any grief about your lawn?
I'm pretty open about the fact that it's like so low on my list of priorities. Like I really don't care that much. I definitely would like it to look better, but not at the expense of so much effort,
I think once you do this, I think I don't know if what I'm saying about the bags of soil sounds like a lot of work or not, but I think if you do it, I'm going to say it's going to be 2 hours by the time you get the soil. And I think it's only going to take you 30 to 40 minutes to spread it.
What, just with like a hard rake?
Yeah. And just take a hard rake and turn the rake upside down. A lot of times I just, use the back of the rake.
Yeah.
Soil rake. Part of the thing that's going to make this project easy is that you're buying the soil in a bag. So you don't have to put it in a wheelbarrow. You don't have to shovel it. And you're going to be able to get it in position with your pickup truck. So you're just going to back up to your furthest point, whip a few bags out so you're not leaning over with the heavy bags. They're going right from your tailgate right out. And you're already spreading it to where you want it. Then you're just opening the bags and even if the soil is only a half inch over, otherwise that seed is just sitting on top of if you didn't aerate it, that seed's just going to sit there and it doesn't have that much of a chance.
Yeah. Maybe I could hire somebody to do it.
There you go.
I'll just go out. I'll just put a sign outside of the shop looking for somebody to spread out some soil. I have a guy who would do it.
There you go.
I don't know what he would charge, but
it's one of those things like there's things I like to do. That's kind of like one of the things I like to do because it's a pretty good payout with very little brain power. It's sort of like, okay, I just got to go. The hardest part there is just going to the place to get the soil.
Yeah. Will they load it into my truck?
If you have your wife drive the truck there, yes.
Yeah. Then I got to let my wife drive my truck.
Well, my wife, it's not her fault, but my truck got rear-ended. So when we go to Vermont, we're taking a loaner from the Ford dealership.
Oh, yeah. What'd they give you?
A Ford Explorer.
Is it nice?
It's not bad. It's not, it's nice. I can get my bicycle in it and I can lock it up. Where with the pickup truck, I really can't do that. I could maybe.
Yeah, you can't close the cover.
Yeah, and it's kind of difficult. Like I could fool around with like the handlebars and taking the front wheel off.
Do you ever put it in your pickup?
I do. I just throw it in the back.
Do you have to hang the tire like over the tailgate or?
You can do that. That's actually a good way to be able to fit a lot of bikes in.
Yeah.
But if I'm just me, usually it's only to bring the bike to the bike shop.
Right. I thought about going in there to get my brake, but again, I would have to go somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. They're nice guys. They're nice guys. They do a good job. But, so the nice thing about, well, not the nice thing about my wife getting in an accident and my truck having to get fixed, but, it's probably going to be 800 to 1,000 miles by the time we do this trip. And that's, that fewer miles that'll be on my pickup truck. So that's kind of a nice thing.
Did you have to like tell them that you were taking it?
No, I said, what's the mile thing? I said, no, just drive it. Because they're probably going to have it for a week.
Yeah.
So my wife got rear-ended by a young woman, I would say a teenager. I felt bad for her. She was pretty shooken up. I wasn't there until after it happened. Right over by the train station in Middletown. So this young woman was clearly a distracted driver. So she said that she was changing the radio station or the heat or something like that. So maybe that's what it was, or maybe she was looking at her phone, but no brakes at all. And so going over the train tracks there where you have a lot of pedestrians also crossing.
Oh, yeah.
So my wife just hit the brakes and she just went right into the back. And so she had an Audi, nice looking car that I don't know if it's totaled or not. It was pretty beat up. But since the pickup truck, this is a Ford F-150, it's not super high, but it's higher than most cars. The whole front hood just got destroyed, really. So, and then for my car or my truck, the bumper, a little bit on the right rear quarter panel, maybe if you really look. I took video of it all, so when I get the truck back, hopefully they don't overlook that.
Yeah, it didn't look too bad. Like you, I didn't like notice it. Just like going out there, I had to like look. Yeah. I mean, it was apparent once you pointed it out, but it wasn't like, you're just like panning. You're not going to be like, holy crap, what the hell happened to that truck?
Yeah. It says a lot for having a truck because if it was a car, it would have been a lot more damage. But the point of this all is Jeff doesn't want his wife to drive his truck.
She loves any chance to drive my truck.
Really?
Yeah.
My wife likes my truck, but she's a little, she doesn't like parking it. She's afraid that she's funny because she doesn't use the camera. She's like looking behind her. And I'm like, all you have to do is look at this camera. It's got every little bell and whistle on it. If you're close to
it probably
anything,
shows like the arc.
Everything.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, but when my wife goes to Jaspin Hardware, she doesn't get out of the truck. She goes in and buys it, pulls up, and then one of the guys just throw it in the truck. Now, when I go, I feel like I got to like help out.
Yeah.
And so it's like bag for bag. And these guys are pretty young and strong. And by the time we get like the last of the 30 bags in there, I'm like winded. I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah, I think I bought concrete there once. I don't know what the hell I was doing.
80-pound bags?
Yeah, I don't know what I was doing with concrete.
Yeah,
it might have been for when I was working. I don't remember. Maybe I'll wear like a disguise, like dress up as like an old man.
Well, there's a guy there, Jack, who mostly works in the paint department. Really nice guy. And I know that he doesn't want to, like, I just know that he don't want to load anything. I don't think he does. You know,
I don't blame him.
He's probably got a pass that he doesn't do any of that. So occasionally, like, when I'll go in there, he's like, "Hey, John," you know, and we just shoot the breeze a little. I was like, "What do you need?" I said, "I need 60 pounds of the or 60 bags of the 80-pound concrete." He's like, "Oh, you got to go see somebody else." They're good. They're good people there. So anyway, you could always have your wife pick up the stuff, and then you can have your wife back the truck into where you want it.
Yeah, going there with like 2 fake casts on my arms. I got 2 broken arms. I'll spend like 2 hours getting ready to save myself 10 minutes of work.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't know how your back is. If you're going to risk hurting your back, then don't do it.
Yeah, my back's been did I tell you about my bed?
Yeah.
In
the last episode.
Yeah, my back's been feeling a lot better.
Isn't it amazing, something simple like that?
But I was putting in, well, we didn't talk about this even on the last, I started putting in cabinets in my kitchen. Oh, no, we did talk about this. Started putting in some cabinets. And so I have a peninsula, and then I have like a tower cabinet that sits on top. And there's a 2-gang outlet in the bottom. And I had to wire that up. So I'm sitting on the countertop, kneeling on the countertop, hunched over, wiring up my back. Oh my God. At night, I was sitting in bed before, like my son was taking a shower, waiting to put him to bed. And I got out of the bed, and it was like one of those where like I couldn't like walk, like where when you breathe, your back is just like, it feels like someone's like jabbing you with a screwdriver in the.
So that's a pulled muscle usually. No?
I don't know.
I've had that where you like pull a muscle, and that's where something like a Aleve or Tylenol, you got to be careful with that stuff. You don't want to take too much of it because it'll screw up your kidneys.
Mm-hmm.
But that will help and maybe prevent you from injuring it more.
Yeah.
That's what that sounds like, that time when you breathe in and it really hurts.
Yeah, for me, I think it's like I was hunched over in that position for so long that everything got real tight, and then it's like, just kind of like all like tensed up. And
so we went into the floor a little bit on the episode that we didn't record.
Yeah.
So let's go back into that a little bit because I was interested in that.
Better check and make sure that it's still recording.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Okay. What do you call those bars again? Sound bars or?
Yeah, like the sound wave.
Sound waves, yeah.
Yeah. Or the waveform, they actually call it.
Okay. Yeah, I looked up and didn't see any waveforms. I'm like, that doesn't look normal.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, so I'm doing solid vinyl, smart core, just click together.
How, like each piece, is it do they vary in length?
No, they're all the same size. They're like, say, 6 by 48 or something like that. Maybe a little bit less, 40 inches.
So you're just going to stagger the seams.
Yep.
And so part of the conversation was that you are not putting it under the cabinets.
Yeah, so I was saying, originally I was going to. They recommend that you don't. And they I don't know if they say it explicitly, but what people say is, well, it moves. So if it's pinned underneath the cabinets, then you're not going to get it's a floating floor. So you're not going to have the movement. It's going to buckle and blah, blah, blah. Well, it's been outside. I bought it like 3 years ago. It's been out in the garage. So I brought some in the wintertime. It was out, this is middle of winter. So it's been out there in the freezing cold, brought it in. I put like 3 or 4 pieces, stacked up, 3 courses or 4 courses on a piece of plywood and marked a line where they were and sat it right next to the heating vent. And I have the whole home humidification. So it's like 50% humidity right next to the thing, belting out 70-degree heat, and after I kept checking on it every day. And after a couple of weeks, it hadn't changed size at all.
So it's not going to move.
No. But the reason I'm not putting it underneath the cabinets is I just need to get some cabinets in so I can get stuff away. That way, it's going to be less for me to paint because the wall's already primed. I need to do some touch-up priming, but I only have to prime the areas that aren't covered up by cabinets and paint the areas that are not covered up by cabinets. And I'll do it all before panels go in. So there's no, I don't have to worry about cutting in tight to a panel or something. But this way I can get stuff away, plastic off the cabinets, and then just paint. Then I'll do the floor.
Another reason for the floor, though, is if you put it under the cabinets, it would void your warranty.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, what I was getting at is I think the reason they say not to put it under the cabinets is that if you have a warranty issue, they don't want to have to get it out from underneath of the cabinets.
That makes a lot of sense.
They just pull off the toe kick, replace the floor, and then all you got to put back is toe kick.
So if I was going to put this down on a concrete floor, my basement's a concrete floor.
Mm-hmm. It's
not the most perfectly even concrete floor.
Right.
How would you go about that? Would you have to level it, or could you just float it and just not care?
So I did it at our old house, like 2 houses ago, when we were renting. So my son was, my wife was pregnant, and it was all this old carpet. And I asked the landlord, I said, listen, like if I put in the floor, like, will you pay for the material? So she paid for it all, and I put it in, and it was on a slab, and it was not even. But the stuff that I did then had like a backing. This has a backing too, but I'm putting an additional vapor barrier and backing down, and it's like a 3/8 of an inch of like a foam almost.
Sure.
So it sort of fares out, but you can put like some self leveler down if it's really bad.
It's not really bad, but so I like exactly what you said. I like because it's just a concrete floor that I've painted a few times, and putting a vinyl floor would just change that whole space.
100% waterproof.
Yeah. And is it expensive?
No, it's like, it ranges, but I think the stuff I got was like less than $3 a square foot.
Wow. Yeah, I could definitely do that. So now, since I did the windows in the house and I've done some other projects, I'm sort of getting warmed up to doing a lot more work in my house. Also, I put a table saw in the garage.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've got like a little shop set up in the garage. I've got a chop saw out there, a table saw. And the idea of not walking out to the barn every time you need something is really nice. And then I thought, because we have like kind of an unfinished basement. We have the basement is kind of divided into 2 areas. And this one area, I really need to replace it's like a big window in the back. I need to replace it. And so...
Oh, so it's like a walkout.
Yeah, it is. It's a walkout. It walks out into like this courtyard area.
And the front is underground?
The front is underground.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So I should really replace that window. And now I think I'm going to like rebuild out the windows and maybe put like a small panel, like chain. Like right now, the side windows go all the way to the ground. I might frame that out and have like the first 2 feet of like a decorative panel, and then a window up top. But all that becomes much more doable and much more enjoyable if I have a shop right there.
Yeah.
It's like as soon as you have a table saw in a shop, a table saw and a table that you can work on, and a place where you can sort of lay your tools out the day after work or after you finish working when you're kind of wrapping up.
Yep.
It's just so much nicer. It's just like, okay, I'm kind of already set for the following day. I'm not throwing stuff back to the barn or in my truck.
Yeah, and then you put it all back disheveled because you're just trying to get it away. So you're like, I want to eat dinner,
Exactly. So it's kind of getting me warmed up to the idea of doing a lot more work to my house. Although, with YouTube, you always kind of have to feed that machine. Like, okay, can I make content? Can I, do things that are sort of around sponsors to bring more money in while I'm doing it? I wasn't going to do a video on the work that I did around the house this week, but I ended up making a sacrificial fence because I was cutting a lot of small quarter round molding.
I saw the thumbnail. I didn't watch it yet.
Yeah. And so I thought I'll just shoot some video, and actually it's like my 1 of 10. It's like doing better than anything. And it didn't take, it probably took an hour out of my schedule, maybe an hour and a half, because everything takes longer when you're filming it. You're moving the camera around. You forget to hit record, whatever, all those little things that happen. But I think that actually paid off, especially if it continues to do well. That'll be good. And the idea of setting up in the basement and having a shop down there, I could still create content because it's not really in the house.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have things going on, and I don't have to pick up, and you don't really have people down there. It's not like working in the kitchen where you can't tell, you can't tell when anybody's going to walk in or whatever. Especially I got a lot of kids in my house, or a lot of family members.
Yeah, it was stressful on when did I go over there? Wednesday, day after we recorded last time. So I came here. The idea was that my wife was talking about it for a while. Hunter had his first day of school on Tuesday. So then it was like Wednesday, she took off so that she was going to like go through all the toys and get rid of half of his freaking toys that he doesn't play with.
Yeah, when he's not there.
Yeah, she made it like we're going to have this big organizational day. So the idea was I came here until he went to school. I ended up, going back to the house at about 10 with a bunch of cabinets. I loaded up the van, went home, and then, I had to move the fridge and prep the floor and put in the peninsula. And then, so it was like, he came home and then he had soccer practice at 5. And I'm trying to get all this, like, you need it wrapped up by the end of the day. So it was like down to the wire, it's just so stressful.
There's no fun factor in it. When you can like not have to deal with anything, but just the work you're doing. I mean, that's like when you get into like a nice rhythm, you're just making cuts and putting the molding in or just doing these things and not dealing with all the extras that come along with a project.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said it a million times when I was doing that project in Vermont, it was just so enjoyable because nobody was in that house. My shop was in the living room and you needed a cut or you could work till 10 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
You could work at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was like a very enjoyable time in my life just to not have any distractions and just be able to work. And then at the end of the day, you could really kind of enjoy kind of looking at what you got done and plan for the following day with no interruptions.
Yeah. And just the stress of like having that deadline where it's like, I got to be wrapped up with this to the point where the house is livable again by the end of the day. Or that's why I hate installs because it's like, got to be done and got to drive back.
Yeah. And you got to shove all those tools back in your van. And then you got to figure out a time to organize them. I have just a funny story about when I did the renovation up in Vermont, there was a kitchen and the bathroom was off the kitchen. And my wife decided to have a birthday party for, I think, her father. So it was a big party. So not only am I doing all this work, but now there's like a timeline on it. And so I'm putting in these easily like 14-hour days. And now it's like a Friday or a Saturday. And now she's coming up with all the kids. And I'm just like, caulking and painting. And I'm doing everything, like nailing things off, filling it up, just crazy. So they show up, they come in the house, and there's no light switch. There's no switch cover on the light switch. And she goes into the bathroom. Oh, this looks great. Everything. Washes her hands or something. Goes to hit the light and gets shocked. Oh. and I was just like, well, that's what happens. And I guess I wasn't, like, oh, you okay?
Compassionate.
I wasn't compassionate enough. And I was just like, oh my God. But it cooled down. I was like, holy cow. I mean, this is like, I've been on the timeline here. And now I just want to hear how great it is. I don't want to hear about.
Yeah. You're like, man, I'm getting my balls busted.
Yeah.
Nobody sees. They only see the shortcoming, not all the.
Well, because when you do an install, it's like you're inventing stuff all the time. You like have to invent how things will work. Like, what's the best compromise? Because there's always going to be a compromise.
Oh yeah.
So, how's that going to work? Now, that brings me to the cherry cabinet. How'd that go?
I was going to say, yeah. So Jackie and I went out there on Friday. So we loaded up, went out there. The plan was to be there at 10 because it's in Hoboken. 12th, that street right there on Fridays is street sweeping, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. So I'm thinking, all right, we'll get there, take the cabinet out. I'll go right around the corner, park, because I always get parking right there. Even when we work way on the other side of Hoboken, I always get parking on 12th for some reason. And So we showed up about 9:45, packed everything in, and about 9:55, I go around the block, all parked up. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, it's not even 10 o'clock yet. Usually I'll park there and I'll just sit because if the street sweeper comes up, I can pull out and go around the block. So I don't know what the hell was going on. So Jackie was in the house and she didn't know what to do, because this is the first time she's seen that cabinet.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I couldn't be like, just, stand it up. And because it's big, you can't do it by yourself. So I'm driving all around. You start out one block perimeter.
Circles,
and you just go further and further. Nothing, no parking. I found one spot. I parallel park. I'm pretty good at parallel parking that van. And then I look, temporary, no parking, police order, tow away zone, boom. I'm like, mother. God. So I keep going, nothing. So I just ended up, the house is the first house next to a school. So there's a yellow curb. So I just parked in the yellow curb, put my emergencies on, and I skated by.
That's a stressful feeling.
I'm like, can you check on the van? Make sure there's no ticket, no.
That's the X factor. That's why, you end up hooking up with these builders around here and you don't have to go to Hoboken. Mm-hmm. I did some work in Manhattan. Oh my God. It's just like, I just couldn't wait to be going through the tunnel back into Jersey.
Yeah.
I just, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, it could take you an hour and 20 minutes to get into Manhattan, or it could take you 4 hours to get into Manhattan. Yeah. It's, I don't need New York. And I used to go into New York a lot as a younger person, especially going to museums and galleries. I don't know. I just don't need it.
Yeah. So the install went pretty good. One thing I missed is that, so we're all done. The one thing is that the client sent me the wrong link for the hardware. So we were matching the old hardware. They sent me a link for an appliance pull. Now, I didn't buy the hardware the first time, the designer did. So that's what I ordered, 12-inch appliance pull. And it turns out that they just used a regular 12-inch pull. So I drilled for it. I said, listen, just order it and just put it on yourself. You know what I mean? Just screw it in. But then the client is walking up the stairs and she's like, oh, are we going to finish that? I wasn't even thinking about the fact that you would see the top of the cabinet. Because you can't see the tops of the other cabinets. It's underneath the stairs. This one is outside of that.
So you have to build a top.
Well, what I'm going to do is just get some PSA cherry veneer. I'll finish it. And they want me to design a vanity. I have...
nice.
Yeah, so I'll just stick it on the top. It's got a couple pocket holes,
Yeah, that'll be nice. That'll be easy to do.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like,
there's always, you can never finish it.
That is the thing with installs. And when they're far away, it's just, the aggravation is just so much more.
Yeah.
Now, what's that door behind you?
This?
Yeah.
This is the door, but it was made wrong.
Okay.
So I ordered a custom door from New Doors, and you input your rails and styles, and I put 5, but somebody 5/8? This is 0.5.
I was going to say
somebody added a decimal point. So they hustled and got me one, a couple days after I realized that this was wrong. The funny thing is it was here for like 2 weeks.
But you didn't.
I never opened it. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because we're talking about this cabinet, and I'm looking at this door, and I'm thinking that looks about the same size door that you just used. What's that doing there?
So now I have to build something that's that size.
And those other 2 doors.
Yeah, the acorns. Yeah. Yeah. So when we were leaving, they have a cop that's stationed outside of the school, and he sees that we're packing up, and he goes like this, waves me over. He goes, listen, he's like, you've been parked here for 3 hours. He's like, this is a school zone. He's like, if you have business inside the school, that's one thing. But, he's like, I see you're working. He's like, listen, not only could I ticket you, he's like, I could tow you.
Wow.
He was like, he's like, you got away with it today. I'm like, listen, man. I'm like, there was nowhere to park. Like, what the hell am I supposed to do?
I don't know. That's the whole thing.
Drive to Jersey City?
Yeah. And it's not like you can put that van in a garage.
There aren't even any.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, Hoboken is... Every time you go to Hoboken, they're working on the street.
I'm wondering if you can get a delivery service and just build that in, but I don't know if you can do that.
But then I still have to go and install, so I need all the tools.
Still need, yeah, that's right. That doesn't help.
Yeah.
That's the aggravation of dealing with, Jersey City. Like, I really want to go to Jamal Upholstery.
Yeah.
I want to get stuff done there. The only thing that is kind of keeping me from doing that is going there.
Yeah, where he is, it's if you go early, it's not too bad.
Okay.
But same thing, like I have to double park.
So, like, what time's the shop open?
9.
Okay.
But I think Robert's usually there at 7:30.
Okay, so I could avoid all the turnpike traffic and everything. I could leave my house at 6 maybe and just wait there.
Yeah.
Because they do really nice work.
Oh, yeah. You better get in now. It'll take a while. Jim's always busy.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Super nice guy. He follows me and I follow him. Really nice work. I like they do a lot of mid-century modern. They do a lot of stuff, but I've been noticing a lot of mid-century modern.
Yeah, there's a company, Lenoba Design, I think it's called, and they go to Holland or whatever. That's where they're from. And they just fill up shipping containers full of furniture and bring it back, and they'll refinish it, and Jim will do the upholstery.
That's great.
I'm working on pricing out a huge couple banquettes for Jim right now. Going to Manhattan.
Nice.
Like a big, like M-shaped, curvy, like this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have already done some big banquets for them.
Yeah. He was just doing a repair on the one that we did for Jane Doe, 50 feet long.
What did it ended up getting upholstered in?
I want to say it's like a vinyl, like a leatherette kind of thing.
All right.
Green leatherette.
So what are you working on next?
Doing some work at the church, doing like this curved, they have these, I don't know what you call it. It's like a arch, but in 4 directions. You know what I mean? Like imagine like a square room and then it's all arched to meet at the apex.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know
how to explain that, but what that's called.
So there are the side altars at the church. So we're going to do a rosette that the light is going to go in and then the molding down from there to 6 feet, and we'll have corner brackets.
What are you doing it in?
It's a flex molding.
Oh, so it's going to get painted.
Yep.
Nice. Do you have a painter that you use or did they have one?
They have a parishioner who is a painter.
Oh, good.
Who did like I don't know if you remember the back altar that we did that was all gold. So like we built it, he painted it. It's great.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's great. That's nice that you don't have to deal with that in any. So are you going to fill any nail holes or anything?
No.
So he's going to do all of that.
Yeah.
What is the new tool that you got? It's not a new tool. What is it? It's a pressure pot.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So that came from Apollo. I reached out to them. Inquired about, doing some collaboration with today's Craftsman. And they said, yeah, what do you have in mind? I said, well, I've been looking at the pressure pot, but only problem is there's not any good information about it out there on YouTube or anything. Like these days, I really don't buy anything unless I could see it on YouTube or, whatever. If there's some other resource, but I want to see video about it. I want to see somebody setting it up, using it, all that stuff before I spend money. And time, it's mostly the time to invest into it. And I even looked again this morning because now I need to start figuring out how to use it. And I'm going to talk to those guys. They said they'd walk me through. But, there's like one guy and the video is filmed with like a potato. Like it looks like it's filmed with like a flip phone.
Jeez.
So you can't see anything.
So when we shoot this video, we're going to shoot this video after you figure it all out and use it once.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to do it.
For sure.
And do you have a project that you can be using it on for the video, or are we just going to make something up?
Could be the doors for my kitchen, maybe.
Okay. Because I think that's going to be a really good video.
Yeah.
Again, because there's a real need for it. Like you said, how many gallons does a pressure pot hold?
They make one that's 2.5, they make big ones, but this is 2.5 quarts.
Okay.
So a little more than half a gallon.
When do you think you'll be ready to shoot that video?
Probably a couple weeks, 2 weeks, maybe.
2 weeks? Because we've already shot this video. We did a video on router bits. I have another question for you. I have a video that I need to make for GL Veneer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of doing the Donald Judd chair.
Yep.
maybe because I have the fumed eucalyptus and I have the unfumed figured. So maybe, maybe the back of the chair is natural or, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure yet, but I'm thinking that could be a good video that we do for my channel here. And then I finish it back at mine. So we make all the cuts on the Streebig.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do some research on that. But you're game for that?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be good because...
I was going to say, we haven't done a project video in a while either.
Yeah. I think what we would do, because that video will have to be on my channel because of GL Veneer.
Yeah.
But then maybe we'll do short forms on this one or something like that.
Yeah, even if we dove into one of the more specific things, like using the Streebig, and just made a video on that.
I wonder what the joinery is on that chair. I have a feel. I'm hoping it's just all screwed together.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it's just a plywood chair.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look online, see if I can find the exact measurements. I mean, you and I know who Donald Judd is.
Mm-hmm.
I think some people do, but I think a lot of people are familiar with that chair.
Yeah.
But just don't know who Donald Judd is. It's just like, not Nakashima, but what's that very famous table by the Japanese American sculptor? It's a coffee table that has just two parts. It's like a modern looking coffee table.
Drawing a blank.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank too. But you would know it if I said it.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you saw the chair, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's who that is. But again, just like I can't name the guy, most people can't.
Right. You see Rob and Corey both got blue ribbons at the Long Island, what is it? Long Island Woodworking something, Cradle of Aviation.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. Those guys are into it.
Yeah.
I think they've got a nice thing going up there. I mean, Corey's shop seems really nice. I'm sure that where they are this time of year is probably really laid back as compared to in like the summer.
Yeah, well, they're kind of a ways from the beach, but I don't know. It probably gets crazy there too.
I'd really like to go there. I'd really like to do a video there how far is the drive?
Probably 2 hours.
Oh, really? That's it?
Yeah.
2 hours from here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That's like if we hit traffic.
Okay. So it's not that far out on the island?
It's like mid-island, they call it.
Okay. Is it on the west side or east side?
Well, it's like in the middle.
Okay, it's in the middle.
Yeah, so the west is like Brooklyn and Queens. The east is the Hamptons. They're like in the middle.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be fun to go there.
Yeah.
I'd really like to see his whole landscape thing, the way it's all set up, because I know he's got a decent amount of lawn he's going to have to mow now, or that he already does mow.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's looking at tractors. Yeah, we got to find a sponsor for that whole series.
I think that, we'll see what happens, but it seems like if we could get the uploads to get, 5,000 an upload, we should be able to get a sponsor.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close to that. We're about to tick over, I think, 6,000 subs on YouTube. We're at 5,800.
So you started putting up the shorts, and you're noticing you're using, what is the name of that software you're using?
I'm not sure I want to say. I don't want everybody to.
Yeah, it's a secret. That's how we're going to make our channel blow up.
Once we blow up, then we'll tell you.
Yeah.
But it takes a long form. You could just Google this. It takes a long format video and makes short form videos of it. So you just give it a link, tell it how long of a clip you want, what the subject matter is, and it just cuts them out. I mean, some of them are no good. I just take the ones that I think are good.
Cuts them out. And how do you get them? Do they download them then?
You download them, yeah.
So
I have to do it on the computer.
Does it cost anything?
I'm in like a free trial thing right now. I think you get a certain amount free.
Geez, I think I should do this.
Yeah.
I really should start doing this. I've started with a new web guy. I really like this guy.
Yeah, I got to get his info.
Yeah, he's really good. Super nice guy. I am having a little bit of a problem. Like if my type in johnpeters.com, just see if that works. Because it's not it's like the old website is coming up at the moment. Yeah, shit. Now hit design plans. Now hit the logo on the left side. Shoot. Oh no. Hit design plans again. Now hit a project, any project. Now hit the logo.
This one?
Yeah. Shit.
Still the old
thing.
Huh.
I don't know. Yeah. So he is really good. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. What I really like about him is I can tell him a few things, and then it's like, go to sponsors up there. Is there? No, there isn't one there.
Work with me.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be there because. Okay, so this is what the new site looks like that little picture of me.
Mm-hmm.
But if it were sponsors, then the sponsors that I work with would come up.
Oh, right here.
Okay, see, we're seeing the new site now. So he just propagated all this stuff. I just said one thing. He found my old.
It's funny though. You see, it's not sponsors isn't up here.
No, I know.
Until I click on work with me, then it's there.
Now hit the logo and see what happens. No. So I have to work with him on that. This has something to do with HostGator, I think.
He pretty affordable.
He's affordable. He's affordable and he's patient. You know what I mean? Like you can have a conversation with him and then things get done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
that's like my accountants. They're great. You know, they'll go as deep as you want. You could say, listen, just give me it in plain English. Give me the cliff notes, or they'll sit there and give you the whole.
How'd you find him?
So it's a brother sister. My wife went to school with the woman, and she does all of the business accounting for my sister-in-law.
Okay.
Yeah, they're great.
Well, I think Walter's going there.
Yeah, I gave him the info.
Yeah. I think Walter's going to go there, and I wouldn't be surprised if my son Jack goes there and Michael. We had a very good accountant. We still do. We had a very good accountant, and he passed away. It was his business.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like they're playing a lot of catch up now.
Yeah.
And so we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, this guy is really good. I'm having a few little issues now with that. I think that has to do with my server, and I just started working with him.
Mm-hmm.
But every time we have a meeting, he'll do something, and he'll end up he'll intuitively know what I want. You know what I mean? Like he came up with the About Me page, and it's like, wow, this guy's really, really good.
Nice.
And Walter met him through Facebook Marketplace, selling him a piece of camera equipment. So it's just like, but Walter was like, yeah, you got to check out this guy, John. He's really good. I guess John did Walter's website.
Yeah, he was telling me about him first.
And he's just getting Walter and he are just kind of starting.
Yeah.
So Walter and I are going to do a product together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think John's going to help us out with that.
Nice.
So I think Walter's going to start working on that this week. I don't really want to say what it is yet.
Yeah, he's just finishing up some of those dies, those big dies.
He had, they're these big bending dies, and he had them in the back of his car, which is a Honda Pilot. And I was like, you can't do that. He knew about it already. Like he already knew, like
because they were too heavy.
It's just, that's the scariest thing to do. You don't want to have anything behind you when you're driving around.
Yeah.
And I've heard terrible. Well, that's how David Smith, the sculptor, died. So David Smith is probably one of the most well-known American sculptors, abstract expressionists, really popular in the 50s. I think in 1965 in Bennington, Vermont, he used to cart like steel around in an old mail truck. And he got into like a 25-mile-an-hour accident, and everything just came forward and killed him.
Oof.
Yeah. So that was a lesson. Just reading David Smith's biography. He was in New England or up in upstate New York. There's a sculpture garden in upstate New York. Anybody familiar with the Thruway may have seen it. Storm King, and he was a couple miles away from there, Bolton Valley, and that's where his studio was. But I find art history fascinating because it's really young in this country.
Mm-hmm.
You can go further back to the West and everything, but I like going back into like the 30s and 40s, 50s. And that's when, everybody was fleeing Europe and kind of a whole big art movement in New York City. And it's very small. Like now there's 1 million artists. Mm-hmm. Back then you had a handful of artists that you could kind of study and understand. It was more, it was easier to swallow, a couple like how this person affected that person.
Right.
Where today it's sort of like, is this good? Is this bullshit? Who is this person? There's 1 million of them out there,
Yeah, now it's kind of like cool to be out there, but in the 30s or 40s, you were a real outcast if you were like an out there artist.
Yeah, well, you had something, the WPA, which is what really sort of changed the art world in America, which was because of the Depression, you had the Works Progress Association, and those were all those murals being painted everywhere, murals, sculptures. And so that funded a lot of artists. And then some of those artists basically got tapped by the art dealers of the time and were given the opportunity to become like well-known artists. So like in the case of Jackson Pollock, he was actually subsidized by, I forget the name of his main dealer at Betty Parsons, I think. So she basically paid him a salary, and he lived out on Long Island and was paid whatever, a small stipend just to exist and to paint. And then I guess, he had a big successful show, and then he started to have money. There's a funny quote where he ends up buying a Cadillac, and the author of the book I read is like, which may as well have been a loaded gun in Jackson Pollock's hands, because that's how he died. He ended up crashing.
Good.
So it's not only is it like a relatively recent history, but it's also sort of a lot of it happened right around this area, of Massachusetts, New York City. So it's very geographically close. Yeah. So if you find an interest in any of that stuff, you can go on a day trip and learn more about it, whatever. But that was the main thing that always made me think I don't want to have anything heavy behind me in my truck. Yeah.
Yeah, I have that bulkhead in the van, but I don't know what that's stopping.
Wood is definitely dangerous, but like, you have like motor
rebar or something.
Yeah, just like,
copper pipes.
Yeah, stuff like that. Forget it. That stuff is just coming. It's going forward.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, you see like, people, who get impaled with stuff, and you're like, how could that even, but like anything that's like small and pointy, that doesn't even have to be that sharp. Just relatively small could just go through you.
That's what happens with tornadoes and hurricanes. It's stuff flying around. So they have all those tests that they do. Like they propel a 2x4 at certain structures to see what it'll hold up against. And it's amazing to see those 2x4s when they hit something, they just splinter. There's so much force.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's actually so frightening. Like you ever see footage of a tornado? I mean, holy cow.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I mean, we're getting them more and more here, but they're not as powerful as like the ones you get down in, the southern central part of the country. Yeah, just like there's no stopping that. It's just you just got to just get away.
You got to go underground.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing the power. Where were you during Hurricane Sandy?
I was at my in-laws' house across the street from my house.
Okay.
I mean, I was living in Highlands at the time, but
did the house that you're living in get taken out?
Oh yeah, yeah. I had 7 feet of water in my house.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I thought that was a frightening experience. I just the howling of that wind, and it was all happening at night too.
Then we had like a snowstorm like 2 days later.
Yeah, and then it got hot and humid.
Yeah,
that was rough. Yes, that just makes me think of weather. I mean, weather is just so powerful.
Yeah, yeah. Hurricane season, thankfully,
Seems like it came and went.
Yeah, we got about another month left, maybe a month and a half. Hasn't been anything yet.
Yeah,
knock on wood.
Exactly, knock on wood. Because we're here at the coast, and it can be pretty rough. I know that I had a friend who was a builder who moved to Florida, ended up getting destroyed during the economic downturn in 2008, moved back here, and within 6 months, Hurricane Sandy happened, and he's just been on top of the world ever since. Because, like, if you weren't busy during Hurricane Sandy, like, not during it, but 6 months after.
Oh, yeah.
Like you went, that's how when you started your work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, some people like built empires off of that storm.
For sure.
I mean, you saw all the companies coming in from Texas and all these other states afterwards, companies that they're disaster chasers. That's what they do. I can't think of the names, but, when a place is hit by a natural disaster like that, they come in and take up a lot of the work. So they just travel around the country wherever they got to go. And sometimes those guys will be there for years.
Yeah. I remember seeing a lot of out of state vehicles, especially, but this might've just been the power companies from all over the place were all around here. You'll also get terrible storms up in New England with ice storms. You see the power companies like running back and forth up the coast.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just not enough. There wasn't enough general contractors here to service everybody. I mean, think about a town like Highlands. It was like pretty much everybody needed some type of work done after that storm in a town like that.
Would you hire anybody to do any work? Like, this is the thing, like, because my oldest son he's getting close to that point where he's probably going to buy a house at some point. It could be 6 months. It could be 3 years, but he's getting into the right place. Things are crazy expensive. But anyway, one of the things that will make it possible is that he can do a lot of work and I can help him do the work. I don't know who you can hire to do good work these days. Like, that's a hard thing to find anybody.
You're going to pay for it. That's the thing.
A lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. My sister-in-law was talking about, they were like looking at buying a different house. And then she's like, well, I just, I convinced my husband that we'll do an addition. And she was like talking about the work. She's like, what do you think that'll cost? I'm like, I don't know, $250,000. She's like, no way. I'm like, yeah.
That's crazy. Now, is that the labor cost or material and labor?
The whole
just everything is just up. I can't get over the cost of things. Anytime I do a little project, I just forgot, like, holy cow, like, I know I've mentioned it before, but that drywall cost me close to $700 just in wood and stone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're talking about this tiny little thing. It's like, holy cow, $700 later. Then if you combine the soil that I bought for the, that little mound that I made, then, you're close to $800.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to have my countertops pretty soon. That's going to be $5,000. I'm going to spend probably $500 in paint. I'm going to have to get the plumbing stuff for the, hooking up the sink and the dishwasher. That'll probably be $100.
You have a good plumber?
I have, our plumber, Mike. I'll do all of that plumbing myself.
Okay.
So
do you have that special tool, that crimping tool to do the?
Oh, no. I mean, it's already roughed in.
Okay.
So I'm just hooking up the drain and that kind of stuff. But no, I wish I had one of those press tools. Not that
They're
I really
like $2,500, right?
That's for like a cheap one. Yeah.
Really? What do they call that again?
ProPress.
ProPress. That's it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what's going on. We just recorded this podcast. I think we're
Twice.
Probably. Yeah. I think the only thing we didn't mention, did I mention that my wife got in a car accident with my truck? I think that was the first one. Anyway, so when I go to Vermont, I won't be taking my truck, which is a nice thing because I won't be putting the miles on it.
Yeah, now I can't remember what we talked about in which.
The way we got to it is you didn't want to pick up the bags of topsoil. And I said the way you can get around that is send your wife to the hardware store, because I helped the guy. I feel I can't watch somebody load bags of anything into my truck without helping.
Yeah, me neither.
So I always help up. My wife's like, oh, I never do it. I never even get out of the car. So I said to Jeff, I said, well, send your wife to get the topsoil and then the job's done. Because that's the hardest part of your job. I think if If you do that, your lawn's going to look great in 2 weeks.
I'll give it some serious consideration.
Don't let me forget the grass seed when I leave.
Oh, yeah. Well, what do you think? You want to call it?
Yeah, say we go.
Yeah,
I just got
over an hour. Yeah, thanks for listening. Check out tomorrow's video on router bits, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, see you. Wasn't too bad.
If you enjoyed this episode, please tell a friend or share it on social media. You can leave a review of this podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And don't forget, today's Craftsman YouTube channel has an upload every Saturday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. We'll see you next week.